I bought the business, and then I slowly recognized that it didn't align with me. I think people were taught that if you don't sell, then no one will buy. Of course, everything I do is with intention and purpose. Confidence. It's like I borrowed the confidence from them, and they lifted me. We don't understand right away that our gifts are actually a way to serve other people.
As you know, we use this platform to share stories of resilience. And today I have a very special guest. Hey, it's your host, Sally Allen, again of the Sally Allen podcast. I am so glad you're here today because I have an amazing guest. Her name is Mary Grace. I'm going to say this in Yniguez. Can you say it for me? Yniguez. I said it correct. Mary Grace Yniguez. And can I tell you, this woman is incredible. Before I go into her introduction, I met her last year. We met last year at her networking event. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. And I was just so taken by her, the way she conducted herself, the way she treated people at this event, the way she lifted women up and men at her event, that I started following her on social media. And just she inspires me daily on her social media. So much so that this year I decided that she needed to be in my life.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yes. So she is I call her my social media strategist. And she's so good at it because everything that she posts, I look at it, I'm like, I want to be like you when I grow up on social media. Yes. But let's tell you a little bit about her. She is a visibility and marketing strategist, exactly what I'm the social media strategist. And she's also the CEO of Social Registry Network.
Social
Register Network. She's the CEO of Social Register Network, a teen mama, but pretty, bad ASS woman. So with that, Mary Grace, welcome to the Sally Allen podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. And definitely our intro when we met at Ignite Your Brand was very similar. I felt exactly the same with you. I just can tell that your energy was aligned and a beautiful person. So I'm excited.
Thank you so much. I choked up on that. Yeah, it was, because what I forgot to mention is that at that event, right, Ignite Your Brand, was where I met Erin.
Yes.
Right? And Erin is, what do you call her role?
She is like a brand strategist.
A brand strategist. Yeah. And she rebranded me and my website, and she did such a phenomenal job. But the point of this is that's the caliber of people that Mary Grace has at her events. So, yes. So I said, we don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll just sit here and we'll have a conversation. Yes. But I want to start off with, man, being a teen mom and being the incredible woman you are today and what you have built. Talk to us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, it's so crazy. As you know, I'm 37 now, and I didn't really look at my journey as resilience, because you brought up resilience. And then as I tell my story more and more and people want to know like how I got to where I am, I'm like, oh, you know what? That was resilience and a challenging time in my life. But I think when you're in it, I mean, you know, you're a professional of mental health and you can probably kind of coach me through this is when you're in it, you don't feel that it's challenging. You're kind of just like in survival mode. So yeah, my husband and I met in high school. I got pregnant when I was 15 and we ended up having our son at 16 and my husband was 17. So my husband's a year older than I. And I was still in school. But to be honest, before we had our baby, we weren't going to school. So we were ditching a lot of high school and we didn't finish the traditional way, especially as soon as our son came into the world. My husband started working and then I was trying to juggle school and take care of the baby. But honestly, the traditional route was just not, I guess, looking back, it wasn't aligned to us and what we were going through in our journey. So I ended up going back to school and went to adult ed, and my husband and I made it a goal to, get our high school diploma, because we now have a baby and we wanted to make sure that our life was going to be set. Because at that time it was like, get your high school diploma, go to college, and that's how you're going to get a good job. And if you don't do that, then you're just going to be a bum, right?
Yeah.
So I followed suit with that. That was something my parents, you should go to college so you could get a better job and make sure you could get a good job. So through those years, I think raising a baby at a very young age, at 16, I just can't imagine. My son is 21.
Yeah.
And I look at him when he was 16 and I'm like, oh my God, he was such a baby. A baby. Like a baby in my eyes, not that he acted like a baby.
Right. Yeah.
But how is a baby raising a baby?
Yeah.
Right? And when I look back at it, there were challenges to that. I mean, obviously now having to pivot from only taking care of myself to now taking care of a baby, and then just trying to make sure that our future was going to be better. I just remember telling my husband, I'm not going to get pregnant again until, we decide if we're going to get married, because as you know, as statistics and data, right?
Yeah.
Teenagers, usually they get pregnant and then they end up getting pregnant again, or they have multiple baby fathers, and just all those data that you see. And I was like, I'm not going to become one of those statistics. I mean, if it did happen and organically, that's how life happened for me. But I was going to try to be in control of that. And I think at that very young age, to think that I'm going to try to control my life and control how everything was going to be laid out for me. You and I know, as a woman, a grown woman now, I mean, there's things we go through too. You can't control everything.
Yeah. I think that one uncontrollable moment that you had, right, just made you stop and think, oh my gosh, this is not happening again. Some people have to go through the school of hard knocks over and over and over again. And for you, it was one time.
Yeah.
And you're like, no more, I'm not doing this again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why you didn't become a statistic. But it seems like some of us are born with this innate form of leadership and an innate form of self-awareness. And I think that's you.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but you see it in the way your thinking pattern was. You were very cognizant and aware to say, I am not at 16 doing this again.
Mm-hmm. I think also my core values of what I knew I wanted and what I didn't want, it was really prevalent for me at that age.
Yeah.
Because at 37, there's things like, girl, I run into the brick wall 10 times. But for whatever reason, at 16, I knew this wasn't going to happen again. There's just certain things in my life. I guess it goes back to my core values and what I see is important in my life, because there's a lot of things that I run into that wall 20 million times and I still don't learn.
What are your core values?
One of my core values right now is relationship, intention / purpose. Of course, everything I do is with intention and purpose.
Yeah.
And serving others.
Yeah. You do that really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see you lifting others up. When people are in your circle, they know they're in your circle.
Yeah. I think it's also because one of my core values is inclusivity. Is I never want anyone to feel left behind or excluded.
Yeah.
And if you are whether you're in my circle or not, if we're in the same room, you're going to be seen, heard. Seen and heard. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what your core values are. If it's different from mine, you're going to be seen and heard. And I think maybe that goes back to when I was younger, of just making sure I wasn't feeling left out. I always tried to make sure that I wasn't left out. And so now that I have sort of control of it, I lead a community and I can, bring people together.
Yeah.
I think that's why inclusivity is like one of my huge core values now as an adult.
Yeah, I'm glad you share that. I mean, you do have, social register network. That's what you do. But I feel we align on that very well, because I always go to the person that's the most quiet in the room.
Yeah.
Right? I gravitate towards them because I can go around and talk to anybody. That's just our personalities. Mm-hmm. But we like to bring people in and include them. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely love that. Yeah. So tell me, how did you start your, what spurred you to start the SRN?
So I didn't start it. I
Oh, okay.
actually was the COO for almost a decade before purchasing it. And at that time, it's a 30-year-old company now. We turned 30 on the 1st of
Oh
February.
my gosh.
Yeah, it's catching up to my age because I'm 37. But it at that time when I purchased it, it was about 26 years old, but I was working for the company. I was the COO. I ran the operations and helped with the marketing and also the events and the overall operations of the company. At that time, it was only here in Las Vegas, though. So when I purchased it, purchased it right before the pandemic, actually. And so it enabled me to really hone in on my gifts because I'm very tech savvy. I'm into digital marketing, obviously. And so I was able to bring the company online. I brought it virtually and then was able to continue as much as we could to connect entrepreneurs across the nation. So then I started getting people who would join in our virtual events from Florida. I had people from Europe who were joining in.
Wow.
It was awesome. And I wasn't charging at that time to just be part of this network and be part of our community. And then when we were able to open up again, I went ahead and relaunched the live events here in Las Vegas. And if you're listening to this and you know of Social Register, you know that we are known for being one of a kind and being the most unique and going over the top in anything that we do. Like we host events at the top of Mandalay Bay at the Foundation Room. That's what we were known for.
Yeah.
And we were hosting to C-suite executives. It wasn't just business owners. And we only did mixers every single month, and then we did workshops to help build, C-suite get through building their business, management, all of those things, right? But when I bought the business, I'm an introvert at heart, and I continued doing the mixers because that's what we did.
Yeah.
That's what we were known for. And then I slowly recognized that it didn't align with me. Like we can continue doing these mixers at amazing venues that we have exclusive access to. I love them and I love supporting them, but what is the value here? Like, what are the attendees getting out of it? Obviously, they're getting community and they're being able to network, but also, how can we take that up a notch? How can we also provide more purpose to the event? And so I decided to no longer do mixers every single month. I only do them a couple years back, I used to only do them maybe every other month. Now we only do them 3 times a year. And anytime I do a mixer, it is to give back to the community. So the first one I do in the beginning of the year is just to bring everybody back together after the holidays.
Yeah.
And then I do one in the summer, and I choose a Title I elementary school out here who needs our support, and I collect backpacks at that mixer.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, we partner with Marine Toys for Tots, and I collect toys. So those are the mixers I do. But in between all those events, it's really intentional and purpose and how to build your business and how to build community, and networking will become organic within the event.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I really had to shift in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It was a lot of evolution.
I love that because I think what got you here back then is not the same thing that's going to get you to the next step.
Yes.
And for you to recognize that and realize that, what's the purpose of this? Just people coming together instead of, I want to give back. This have more meaning and purpose to you. Because that's some of the things I said to my client. Because people tend to go back to what they know.
Yeah.
So what got you to this role,
Yes.
you go back and you think that's what's going to get you, and you need to level up. Hello.
Yeah.
You need to level up to get to the next role. So I absolutely love that you recognize that. And it sounds like what you're doing adds so much more value and has so much more meaning to SRN.
It does. Yeah. And I think not only for the community, they can see that it's intentional. I feel better at the events.
Yeah.
And when you feel better as the business owner or anything that you're doing, your events become even better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it has to align with your values. That's what you were saying. It has to align with your values. And that's when you feel better, when you know it aligns with what you stand for, which one of your values says serving.
Others. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it aligns with that, then you know, like I'm truly live in the foundation of the core, the heart of who I am.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. So talk to us about. I want to go back. I had a
Hmm.
question. Oh my gosh, I feel in my head. Yeah, it'll come back. Okay, okay. Let's move forward. It'll come back. Talk to me about your giving people visibility in social media. What got you there? Why did you start that?
So it's very interesting because not, I mean, for me, but I've recognized a lot of people do this too, is we don't understand right away that our gifts are actually a way to serve other people and monetize that and also serve yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I went into social register. Obviously, I was learning a ton in a decade and getting these major speakers come in who were teaching about LinkedIn and social media. And I would be in the room. I was in the room because I worked the event.
Yeah.
And I would learn. And also, I was doing social media just for myself personally. I was always on there. I used to blog back in the day when my son was like a baby, so over 20 years ago. And I used to build websites on Zanga, all the different things. So I've always been in it, but it was something I just loved to do.
Yeah.
So when Social Register came about, I recognized that, okay, I'm teaching people how to network and build community, build relationship, but it comes down to visibility, right? Because you can go network, but if you don't have visibility online and someone is connecting you with you at an event and they can't find you, or they're looking into you to see if you would be a great speaker at their event and they don't
Right.
find anything on you, it's kind of voided. It's like, oh, okay, well, I met Sally. I don't know who she is, right? And
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, well, let me connect with her. You're always looking for reputation. Kind of like when
Yeah.
we visit a new restaurant, we go on Yelp, we go on Google, we read all the things. It's the same with humans. It's the same with your
Right.
connections.
Right.
You try to find them and make sure they're not like a weirdo, right?
Yeah.
So I was already doing it, and I was teaching our members in the community how to network. And then obviously, I recognized that I was able to expand Social Register in under 4 years by just using the power of social media,
Wow.
just using it. We've always been on social media, but we didn't use it in that way. It was always just for updates, making sure people knew who we were, reputation, but we didn't go as hard as we do now.
Mm-hmm.
And I also recognized before I bought the company, because when I was the COO, so many people came to me to help them with their website, just things I wouldn't get paid to do it. They just trust me because they would ask me questions that I would just give them an honest answer about. And I recognized that there were so many marketing companies that were taking advantage of people just
Mm.
because they had money and
Mm-hmm.
just because they didn't know better.
Yeah.
And that stuff would just make me so angry because they would come to me and say, hey, I want to change my logo on my website. Like, how can I do that? And I'm like, well, who's your web person? And they would say, oh, yeah, but they charge me like $300 just to swap out this and do this. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It literally takes you seconds. Take that off and upload it. And I just remember my heart would just be so hurt for these, because a lot of them were seniors that they were taking
Yeah.
advantage of. And I'm like, this is not right. So I think deep inside, I already had that like yearning
Yeah.
to help people. I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't think that I was good enough, that, oh, okay, this gift, that it's actually going to help people. So then I actually got asked to speak at an event.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, I want you to teach about confidence and showing up online and offline. And I'm like, what?
Oh.
Like, I don't do that. I only teach about networking. And that took me out of my comfort zone. And so many questions in the room and so many people coming up to me at the end. And there's so many people asking me to now, how do we work with you? How do we like hire your team? And I'm like, oh,
Like when I was
yeah. I'm like, wait, we don't do that. Like, I do networking. Do you want to join our membership? So that's where it started.
Yeah.
And then obviously we built a team, and then we went ahead and offered the service. And also the reason why it's so successful, I mean, you're a client of mine and you'll slowly learn this as well, is that it's no fluff. We don't give you fluff. It's
Yeah.
honest work. And it's like, we can teach you how to do it. And the goal is that after 6 months or 12 months that you learn how to do it. But if not, then you can continue having my team to do it because it's easier for you.
Right.
But the goal is for us not to do all the fluff that doesn't work.
Yeah. You know, Mary Grace, I agree with you. I had someone that when I started that helped me create some infographics
Mhm.
and help with my logo and different things. And this person would not give me my originals. I don't know what you call them. What do you call them? The whatever that the
Your
original
IP?
the original stuff. She won't give them to me so that somebody can modify or
Oh,
help
like the
me with them. The
templates that she
templates.
created? Okay.
Yeah. And I had to pay every time I wanted to get something changed.
Mm.
And it was so much money, but it was, when I see content out there now, it was so basic what I was getting.
Mm.
But it cost me so much, and every single time I wanted change in it. So I commend you for what you do. But I wrote a word down here, as you
Mhm.
were saying, when people were asking, as you were helping people, you didn't have the confidence.
Mhm.
What gave you the confidence to start your business?
Um, I did a lot of life coaching. So I did hire personal development, and also my peers, the
Mm,
people surrounding me. So I had women in my life who were like, dude, you're good at it. And then I
yeah,
started helping them with it, right? And then
yeah,
they were like, I'm going to pay you. Like, no, you're not doing this for free for
yeah,
us. And and then I saw like the transition and the transformation of their brand and how it brought it alive online and then how it brought the woman alive
yeah,
because I was now helping them get on camera and in a way that felt good to them. Where people were telling them to do all these different things and they're like, well, I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel good to me. And I'm like, girl, you don't have to do it this way. Like, let's just get on
yeah,
in front of the camera and let's just talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's film you walking. Let's film you getting in the car. And they're like, oh my God, I love this. And so I think number one, it was my community. Number one, actually, it was a personal development,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then hiring someone that can obviously work with me. And then number two was my
Mm-hmm.
circle of women who were like, no, I'm going to pay you.
Yeah,
Then my circle even expanded more where women were like, that's too cheap. No, you should be charging this and I'm paying you this.
yeah,
And so that gave me more confidence. It's like I borrowed the confidence from them
yeah,
and they lifted me. They lifted me on that side of the business because it's with Social Register, but eventually it'll be its own agency. Um, they gave me the confidence. And then I saw just the transformation in each of them. And then bigger companies started hiring us, nationwide companies, because they were like, I just like what you do. And I
wow,
like the purpose of how you want to show our culture of our company. It's not just graphics and video on nonsense, it's actually showing the culture of our company online and looking at your social media that your social media is going to build brand awareness, reputation. It's not going to sell somebody. I think people were taught that if you don't sell, then no one will buy. Yes, I get that, but there's another way to do it. People need to get to know you first, and that's what we do.
yeah, yeah. That is incredible. I love that. I see the way you come across on social media. You're so confident, you're so poised, you're so professional. But also, I see that other side of you, that you're a real human being
Mm-hmm.
and you live life. And I think that's what you want from your clients, that people
Yeah.
can see all facets of life, because we're multi-dimensional. We're not one
Yes.
person. Like, I'm Sally the coach. No,
No.
I love dogs.
Yes. And post your dogs. Those are
I
your
like working
babies.
out.
Yes.
So I think it's so important to be able to showcase that, and you do that really, really well. But do you find at times that you struggle with, a little lack of self confidence or imposter syndrome? Like, who am I to do this? Who am I to help this person? Or when you hire a new person, you're like, holy crap! Like, can I actually help this person?
Not anymore. I'm
Okay.
like super confident in it. But before, yes, I used to question myself, like, oh my God, this big company just hired us. Like, we need to make sure we're gonna deliver. Like, I always was in that mode. But also, you talked about how I show up poised in quotation, right? Poised. I think that if business owners or humans in general, when they show up anywhere, if they can just really align to who they are, it won't matter. Camera, no
Yes.
camera. And trust me, once you do that, you'll feel so much better because 4 years ago when I bought the company, um, I really thought that I had to wear a blazer everywhere I went because the previous CEO, that was her brand.
Yeah.
Like that was her look. And I just felt like to be a professional, I needed to look professional. But being professional is not how you look and how you show up if you know your stuff. And you still need to allow the human in you show up in person and online. And I think what you're referring to on my social media is I'm just me.
Yeah.
I just show up as me. I laugh. I curse sometimes because that's how I converse in a natural state.
Yeah.
I dress as I dress because
Yeah.
I'm going to be comfortable and feel confident. And I think for women, because I'm a woman, I can only speak on behalf of women, is if you can show up in what makes you feel badass.
Yes.
Right, I'm whispering.
You're good.
You will show up in your confidence.
You know what? I have to tell you something. When I was at your event, the first time I met you, one of the things you said to me that really resonated was you wore sneakers.
And I still am.
You still am. Look.
Yes, we're ratchet.
And you said, you're going to see all types of people here. You probably won't remember this, but you say you're going to see all types of people here. And every time I show up somewhere, I show up as my true, authentic self. And this is me today. And I looked at myself and I said, am I showing up as my true, authentic self? And I realized, yes, this is me. I love makeup to the fullest. I love dressing up. I love shiny shoes, whether it's sneakers or shoes. So it doesn't matter where I go. Even if I go to the grocery store, this is how I feel good about me. And it's almost like that gave me permission to be this. Because, some people say, you're always wearing makeup. We never see you on social media like your true, your real self. And I'm like, but I'm comfortable this way.
Yeah.
I show up the way I'm comfortable.
That is your confidence.
Yeah.
And no one could take that away from you.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't matter what that is.
Right.
Whatever you're wearing, high heel, it doesn't matter that is.
Yeah. If you want to show up without makeup, I am going with your bad self.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I'm not judging you, but
Yes.
listen, this is how I like to show up.
Yes, and you're beautiful. You look gorgeous. So
Thank you,
it's
Mary Grace.
it's how you feel in your skin and whatever that means to you. And I think in the beginning, you think that you have to be a certain way. And
Yes.
then you realize, well, for me, I realized that was like a second job. I was like trying to show up like proper, and then I would like have to speak. Obviously, time and place, right, of how you're,
Yes.
what words you're using. But I just felt like I always had to be proper, and I couldn't talk. You know what I thought? Because I was a mom. I still am a mom, but my son was younger at the time. I was like, I want to talk to other moms. I want to share things that I'm going through as a new business owner, a mom, and a wife. But maybe this is not the place. Like maybe I shouldn't be doing that because I'm a business owner. Like this is business. And I felt so frustrated about that. I thought I couldn't do that.
Yeah, and you also gave me permission to do that because, oh my gosh, you would listen to all the social media gurus and everybody would tell you something different. And in my heart of heart and in my core, I just know I am not just one person. Like live one life. I have so many things going on, and in order for people to know you and trust you, they need to know.
Yeah.
They need to know. So one of the things I tell my clients, they'll show up in meetings and they want to emulate what their executives are doing and how their executives are. And I said, the moment you try to fake it, people will see it.
Yes.
The moment you fake it, right off the bat, and you lose that trust right away that you took years to build if you're trying to fake it. I say, go in as yourself. And if you don't know an answer or you don't know something, just say, look, I don't know it, but I make sure I get you that answer next time.
Yes.
Because that's one of the things people go, like my clients, they'll go into meetings and they can't show up as their true self because they're trying to impress. And knowledge, one of the things you said to me was, when you know your stuff, people respect you. But also they respect what you don't know and when you're being truthful about it.
Yes, 100%. I've gotten so many comments that are like, I just love that you're real.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate that about you. And I appreciate that you say that you don't know everything, because I don't. We all don't.
Yeah. We can always learn from each other as we go along. Yeah. So what is your biggest thing that you struggle with, Mary Grace? In general, because I don't see like you have anything.
Oh, God.
Now we're getting real.
Yeah, this is I never thought that I struggled with this, but I guess, as it comes up, especially since we became empty nesters, now it allowed me to have more time with myself because I'm just really only worried about myself and my business and my husband, obviously, but he's an adult and he takes care of himself. I recognized that I didn't have a lot of self-worth in myself. And I didn't know that because I was like, no, I love myself. Like, I take care of myself. I'm a yes to me all the time, all the things. And I am truly who I am in any room. But when it came to self-worth for me was putting myself first in every situation. So if it wasn't a hell yes, I was still saying yes, even though it was like a hell no.
Interesting. So I wrote the word down, manifest, because when you don't have self-worth, it manifests in different areas of your life.
Oh, girl. Yeah.
So that was
People,
one of the areas.
All the things.
Yeah. So that was one of the areas where you couldn't say no.
Yes. Because I was scared that if I said no, then I wasn't invited in. Or if I said no, then social register wouldn't get that visibility. If I said no, it was like all these things, or I'm letting someone down, or they're really counting on me. But then it was like, Mary Grace, can you count on yourself? Because you don't feel well, or you have a headache, or whatever, but you're still saying yes.
Oh, that's why you said no to me, because you had a headache?
Yes. And even though I still felt bad, when I did that.
I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourself. I have a headache. I'm sorry. I can't. And you don't even have to tell people why.
Yeah. See,
that's the part of it. I know you respect what we have.
Yeah.
And you told me that. But taking care of yourself and self-care and having that self-worth means, I'm sorry, I can't make it.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't need an explanation from me. And if you like me as a friend and you respect me, you would respect that.
Oh, that's important.
And that's a self-worth right there. How did you come to that realization?
I had a coach. So I have a coach.
Yes.
And I still have one. And it was things that kept coming up. And I'm like, and I'm sure you go through this with your clients.
Yes.
I would fight it. I'm like, no, what do you mean? Like, I do this, I do that. I take care of myself. Like, no, what do you mean? And she's like, okay. And so she had me do exercises. I was meditating more. I was going more in. And then, and actually, you know what? Rewind, because that's not the pivotal reason. I actually found out I was pregnant at the beginning of last year. My son already moved out and moved on his own. And I ended in a miscarriage. But
oh, I'm sorry, Mary Grace.
Thank you. It's okay. We're a year later, and I believe that something is coming. But at that time, when I had the miscarriage, there was a lot of lack of self-worth, lack of self-love, lack of confidence and everything, because it brings you to your knees. And I think this is a great topic too, because for women who are listening is anyone who's had a miscarriage, doesn't matter how many weeks you were, it's something you do need to work through, especially with a professional. Because for me, I didn't know the self-worth was a problem until I then, talked to my coach again. I'm like, hey, I just had a miscarriage. I'm feeling this and this and this. She was like, well, let's look at that. And then I did Reiki sessions, all the things, Sally, because I just could not get past it. I couldn't get past the what ifs, or like, oh, well, this could have been, I would have been 7 months pregnant and we were getting ready. Like all those what ifs and all the things that should have been, I couldn't get past those thoughts.
Yeah.
And because I was so ingrained in that, my business was just stagnant. It was just doing what it's doing. And so when I worked with a professional, she allowed me to really explore things that I love to do, and getting back into me. So those were like things she did with me, but also I recognized after I started being with myself and hearing myself, I was craving more stillness.
Oh, interesting.
Like being away, not being away, but like really embracing the time alone
Yeah.
and no music, no nothing, and just in my thoughts and journaling. Like my body was wanting it. I think I even documented it in my stories that I would sit on my balcony and literally just sit there. But it was because I needed to be with myself and hear myself.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I did that, and then I started, bumping up my meditation, bumping up the journaling, and really looking at what I wanted, because this was now the time to do that and get better, evolve in a way.
Yeah.
That's truly how I got through the self-worth and realized, oh, I am worthy. I can have more babies even though I'm 37 years old, right?
Yes.
I can have a business. I can have all of it.
Yeah.
Because I think when I had the miscarriage, it was, oh, my body can't even do what it was supposed to do. I had a baby when I was, he was 21 years old. We are financially able to bring a child. We could bring 5 more children and we'll be okay. It was a lot of those like, why couldn't my body do that? For not only for me, but for my husband. I think that was a huge thing for me, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're married, and mine and my husband's relationship, we're connected as one. And I felt like I was letting him down in some way.
Yeah, that's what's going through my head, that you are letting him. That's part of what it is, right? One of the things I say, my process that I use is feel, deal, and heal.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times people pushes us from the feel part to the deal part and the heal part.
Yes.
And that's a component that was missing for you, is that you have to sit in whatever you're going through. It's okay. And you know what? You take as long as you need. Don't set up camp. Don't build a house, set up camp. I tell people, but I feel like even if it take a month or two, I would say sit there. It's very traumatizing losing a child. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So you feel it, embrace it. The not embracing part is what causes the trauma and the ongoing trauma with people. So I would say you need to sit in it for a week. I tell my clients, sit in it for a week. We're not talking about this anymore. You go sit with it. Come back and tell me how you feel after you're sitting with it.
Yeah.
And then we deal with it on the second session. Feel it, talk to me about it. And then we'll deal with it. And we come up with processes and we come up with frameworks and methodology on how you can deal with it. And then we start the healing process.
Oh my God. You hit it right on the nail, because we're conditioned, especially women. I think a lot of us women are conditioned to, okay, heal from that, stop being emotional, move forward. Like you're
get over it. Get over it.
Yeah,
we
we're
tell
conditioned
people get over
that
it.
way.
Yeah.
And so my brain was going into that, and it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work because I kept reliving it. I kept reliving the whole thing. And I had a coach who was like, you need to just feel it.
Yeah.
Just let it be. And I was like, you don't want to feel it, right? Because you don't want to feel that.
You don't want to feel the
And
pain.
then I was like, oh, I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel it.
Yeah.
But every day I let it out. I let it out. I let it out. Then I decided to share my story.
Yes, that's so healing, Mary Grace.
That was the part where it was like, oh my God, yes, it hurts.
Yes.
But there's other women going through it. And then when I was able to share it with the world, now I wasn't hiding how I was feeling.
Yes. It brings so much freedom psychologically and mentally when you share. That's why I wrote my book.
Yeah.
To hand somebody my story and say, here, you can read this. And it brings healing because you're not alone.
Yes.
But for me, that was so mentally freeing for me to put that out there like that so people can see it. Yeah. It's that shame that you're not holding on to anymore. Because shame is hidden, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Being shame and being vulnerable, we hide it. We don't want people to see it. I went through that. I allowed somebody to do that to me, right? But to put it out there, it's just incredible.
Yeah, because then now you weren't showing up to meetings or whatever with this thing that you were hiding.
Yeah.
And also, when I was rescheduling meetings, people understood. Because I was, again, that person who was a people pleaser, and I was like, oh, I don't want to let anyone down. So that was one of the parts where it allowed me to free myself from it, but still feel it. But then now I was getting letters, like DMs from other women that were like, thank you so much for sharing, because I just had one, or I had one last year. a very dear friend of mine, I didn't know she was pregnant at the same time, and she didn't share, but I shared at the end where I had a miscarriage and all these things, and she called me and she was like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know I was pregnant and I just had one." And she was further along.
Oh
And
man,
she was like,
yeah,
"You sharing is really allowing me to share it with someone else," because she didn't tell anyone. It was
yeah,
just like her and her significant other.
yeah.
And so because my core value is serving, because now I was serving people through my experience, then the process of healing was happening for me.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And it's also you can't share if it's a force shared without you dealing with it,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not
Yeah.
objective, it's not constructive, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to get through that process
Yep.
before you can share it with people.
Yeah.
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 So Mary Grace, do you have any takeaway for our audience today?
Um, I just always go back to working on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Working on yourself, whatever that means, hiring Sally, hiring someone who can really help you evolve in your personal development. Because if you are struggling with something, business, family, whatever it is, the only thing you can control is yourself.
Yeah.
And once you evolve as a person, you'll be able to understand those family relationships, business. You'll be able to evolve to the next level, because that's exactly what happened to me. It wasn't exterior strategies and all these things. It was I needed to work on myself and really figure out what did I want and what kind of dream life I wanted to build,
Yeah.
and go after that, so then I can really bring in and manifest and attract the right people in my life.
I love that. I love that. Um, if you want to manifest and attract the right people, you have to be that person that you want to attract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I want to leave you with that. Just know who you want in your life. That's who you need to become.
Mhm.
And with that, it's a wrap, friends. Are we good?